So what's the name of your project that you're working on right now?
Revelations, and I think I have a concept for my next one, but I don't know if I want to stick with it yet.
Okay, what's the concept for this one?
I'm thinking we are not the same, and just kind of talking about the differences between the way some people handle things and the way I handle things. Because I think I've always thought outside the box. I know I've always looked at things different, and I just feel like it'd be a different outlook on everything.
And how do you think? How do you think differently? What makes you think differently than others?
Well, if I'm being 100% honest, I'm an extreme pessimist. That's something I've struggled with forever, and that I'm kind of working on. I mean, as you can tell by my hands, I don't really. Yeah. But that has a lot to do with it. But at the same time, I've always just looked at things in such weird ways. Because when I was younger, I always had a different interest in everything. I was that kid that was reading paranormal books and weird stuff, while everybody else was reading normal stuff.
Okay. So what was your childhood like?
Oh man. Well, my dad left the day I was born. There's some people that, while my mom was in labor with me, he was cheating on her with another woman, and there's some people that say he brought her to the hospital when I was in labor, and he came and held me for about 5 minutes, and then he left, and I didn't see him for a few years after that. And my mom, she was always in and out of relationships, and we never really had a stable place. I moved at least once a year, all through school up until about 7th grade. So it made fitting in and stuff like that really hard, which is also why I feel like I'm a lot different from most, because I've always just kept to myself. I'm not really a people person.
At what age did you first meet your dad?
God, I can't even remember. Because I know when we moved to Fallon, he moved to Carson City, and I think that was when I first saw him. So I want to say I was around 3 at that time.
And has your dad been in your life since then?
He's always been the type of dad that's like, oh, I haven't been there all your life, so what do you want for your birthday? I'll just buy stuff and try to make it better. But I still don't see him very often. I still don't talk to him very often. He never calls me. I never call him.
And do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a little sister.
How old is your little sister? What's the age difference there?
We're 4 years apart.
Okay.
So she's 15 now.
And does she have the same parents as well?
We had the same mom but different dads.
Okay.
And her dad wasn't the best either.
Okay. And you said your mom has been in and out of relationships your whole life?
Yeah.
What is your relationships with your mom's boyfriends and things like that then?
To be honest with you, I didn't get along with most of them, because there was a lot of them that would just kind of try to push me and my sister out of the picture. I mean, my sister was already hardly there the way it was because her dad took her away from my mom when we were both young, so that was kind of a rough blow. And other than that, some of them had kids, some of them were just not the greatest people. And me being the hothead that I am, I just didn't really put up with it.
Did you get in trouble in school and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, school was always a nightmare. I was always failing my grades. Because my problem is, if I don't have an interest in something, or if I don't want to be there, I won't care about it. And when you throw bullying and home problems into the mix, it's just a perfect storm.
Yeah. So what are some of your interests? What are things that do interest you?
I didn't realize it till later, but music has always been a go-to for me. If I'm ever feeling down or if I'm ever pissed off, music's the first thing. But I always had really far-fetched dreams. I was never a normal kid. I always had weird dreams of being a pro. What were some of the things I wanted to do? I wanted to be a stuntman for a while. I wanted to be a special ops fighter in the military, but I actually ended up trying to pursue that one, but I got medically discharged for my mental issues.
Okay.
But my dreams were always super far-fetched, and I was always into weird stuff.
Do you mind speaking about some of your mental issues? Have you been diagnosed with anything or anything like that?
Yeah, I got diagnosed with depression, anxiety, anger issues. And at first, like when I was younger, they tried diagnosing it as ADHD, but as I kind of grew up and once they started paying more attention to it, they figured out it was anxiety.
Okay. And so you said that you don't really relate with other people and you kind of feel different and stuff like that. With music, is there some sort of common ground that you find?
Not really, because the thing about me is my mind is constantly racing at like 1,000,000 miles an hour, and there's usually so many different things that fly through it that it's like hard to keep up with. Like I always tell people good luck trying to figure me out because I can't even figure myself out, and that's how I've always been. Like I've always just overthought everything. I'm a major overthinker. That makes my writing really difficult sometimes. I have probably bins and bins of stuff at home that I would probably never look at again.
What do these bins contain?
Just old songs I wrote, thoughts I was getting out. It wasn't even always just songs, because when I first started writing music, or before I started writing music, I always used to write these letters that weren't really addressed to anybody, and it was how I vented at the time because I felt like I didn't really have anywhere to go. I was in one of the worst depressions of my life. I'd attempted suicide a few times, and life at home was just crap. My mom was married to a meth head, and that just caused chaos at the house. He came home angry all the time. He'd start like slamming stuff around. Got mad at me all the time, so of course me and him butted heads all the time. And it's all just crazy to think about sometimes.
What's the type of music that interests you? Do you have any favorite artists or anything like that you listen to frequently?
NF is like a go-to.
Okay. And why do you choose NF?
Because when I first, going back to the letters, when I first started writing those, I wasn't really finding the satisfaction I wanted in them. Like I didn't really feel like I was getting any benefit out of it. So it was around that time that I heard about NF, and the first song I listened to by him was Therapy Session. And at the end of it, he kind of goes on this little rant where he talks about how therapeutic music is for him, and it's how he escapes from everything. So I started writing lyrics. Well, I guess you could call them more poems because I wasn't writing to beats or didn't really have any plans with them. But I started writing them and showing them to some people around school, the few friends that I had had. And like to my surprise, they all liked it. And one of my friends in particular, I will never forget her. So if she does end up watching this, no, thank you. But I sent her this song I was working on called Good Intentions, and that was a song basically about always having the best intentions, but everything seems to come out the wrong way, because that was something I had a lot of occurrences with. Like I'd always have the best intentions, but I always end up doing the wrong thing. And so I wrote that song, and she was like, dude, I swear, if this got turned into a song, I would listen to this all the time. And so I asked her, like, just because why not? I was like, well, do you want me to try to record it? And she's like, yeah, definitely. Like, I want to hear that as a song. So I recorded it. I never ended up releasing it because I just couldn't figure out how I wanted it to sound really. I must have went through like 10 beats for that song. So eventually I moved on to My Angels, which was the first single I ever dropped. But it didn't really click until I dropped my song Letters, because that was such a void for me personally. And after I released that, people listened to it and they started coming to me like, man, I related to that so much. You're taking stuff that I've wanted to say, but I just haven't known how. And now I feel like I have someone who can finally say it for me. And it just kind of like knocked me on my ass. I didn't expect it to have that much of an impact. I didn't really expect anything out of it.
And before So after you started writing poems and stuff like that, how soon did you start writing music?
Honestly, when everybody started telling me that they liked it and I saw that it was like in my mind, it kind of seemed like a way out because it was like the first time I'd ever caught a glimpse of like making a difference, which, to be 100% honest, that's all I've ever wanted to do. Like, everything that I strove for and everything that I wanted to do was all the intentions of making someone's life better, or making people's lives better. Especially because I went through so much, I didn't want people to feel alone in that sense. And so when I started writing and people started complimenting it, I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is my chance. And so it just kind of blossomed. And like the more I uploaded, the more like attention it got, I guess. I don't want to seem like an attention seeker or anything, but it picked up more traction and I saw it like impacting people. And that's what really got me stuck to it, especially when I dropped letters. And then after that, I released a collab with Rumors called I Can Change, and that song like skyrocketed. Like to this day, that is still my most played song on all of my accounts and stuff. Like on Spotify, it just hit 2,500, and it's always been like the song that everybody likes.
Okay. And so, why do you think you want to like be able to reach people and like make an impact on people's lives in a positive way?
Because I know what it feels like to be alone. Because growing up and going through all these times, I was kind of in a situation where if I talked about it or if I tried to do anything about it, my mom would kind of retaliate and I'd get in trouble for it. Like, my mom used to lock me in my room for months at a time, and I still have an issue with like sitting inside for long periods of time. I'll freak out and I'll start like demolishing everything in front of me. And it's like, it got so bad to the point where my family members would have to like come see me on my lunch at school, and they'd have to sit there and talk to me just so I had someone to talk to. And they do everything they could to try and help me out, but the thing about my mom is it's impossible to change her mind. She's just one of those people, like, if she believes something, nothing is going to change it. And that's why it was so hard to like talk to her and get her to understand your side of things, because she only ever saw hers.
Okay. And what's your relationship like with your mom now today?
Awkward. It's really awkward. Because now I'm out on my own. I don't live with her anymore. I'm doing my own thing. She loves that I'm making music. She always has, because she sees it as an outlet for me. But the thing is, the weird thing about it all is she always tries to deny the stuff that she used to do, and she tries to make it sound like we had this perfect relationship and that everything was amazing. But everybody else in the family is like, no, like you did a lot of really messed up stuff, and he's damaged because of it.
Did she use drugs or anything like that?
I mean, she takes depression pills, and she's flat out told me that she takes them until she's numb. So I guess in a way, yeah, and she has tried to overdose on them, which that's another thing that kind of rocked my world. But I can't really call her like a fiend or like a drug addict, because it's prescribed to her and all that. She just uses it too excessively.
What about yourself? Do you have you experimented with drugs, fell into any heavy drug use, anything like that?
No, my mom tried to put me on depression meds once, and she took me into the doctor and they prescribed me Prozac, but when I took it, it made me feel like I was losing my mind.
Okay.
And I hated the way it made me feel, so I stopped taking it after the first day. Other than that, I just kind of smoke weed to help myself calm down and relax, because if I don't, like, I'll be antsy.
Yeah. So you have a lot of natural energy, basically.
Yeah.
So what's the core idea behind the Revelations?
That one was, I was really excited about that one from the beginning, because it was basically me unleashing like a whole new side of myself. Because my first two albums were really personal and really emotional, mainly just storytelling. But the Revelations was more of like, now you get to see my dark and angry side. And this is basically what all this stuff has led up to, so now I'm just at my breaking point. And it was really cool. Like, a lot of the people who have listened to it so far, like, it kind of knocked them back some. Like, they were like, dang, just when we thought we had you figured out, like, you dropped something completely opposite. And it was amazing. Like, I still had some storytelling songs in there, but it was mainly just anger-based, because I hadn't really let that side out yet.
So how does it, you say it's like completely different, how does it compare to your other stuff that you've dropped?
A lot of my older stuff was pain-based, and it had a lot to do with my past. But the Revelations was more anger-based, and it was a lot more based on what now is offering. So it's kind of like, it's basically like a timeline of my life, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, because it's like I went from here and now I'm here, and it's just like a totally different thing, and it's turned me into this whole other person.
And so is there some kind of connection that you have going on with any like current changing aspects about yourself in your music, as far as like when you look at what you were creating when you first started, and you look at what you're creating now, where are you really drawing from now?
That's hard, because a lot of it is just spur of the moment. Like, a lot of my ideas for songs comes from how I'm feeling in that moment or whatever's going on.
So as far as your motivation for the music that you've been creating recently, do you feel like it's different now than it was before?
Oh yeah, I've evolved so much. Like, sometimes I'll sit there and listen to like my first album, and then I'll listen to what I'm writing now, and it's like the transformation and just the progress is unreal. And I feel like it's all because it probably has a lot to do with maturity. I've matured a lot. I started writing music when I was like 16, so I was just an angry teenage kid whose life sucked.
And how old are you now?
19.
And do you think that, because you know that you have sort of an audience now, do you think that has any influence on your creation of your music?
Well, I feel like any musician who actually has people who are listening, it adds a whole nother level of stress on its own. Because the thing about the music industry is you never know when it can go away. Like, the name of the game is staying relevant, and it's hard, especially when you're in the beginning stages, because if you don't do it just right and do something that picks up all this traction, you're basically a ghost still. And it's so hard, because you're like fighting for your spot pretty much, but it's hard at first when nobody's listening. So now that people are listening, I'm kind of in a situation where I don't know how to react. Like, it's kind of weird going from being the kid that was quiet, never really knew anybody, nobody ever really paid attention to now all of a sudden you're under the spotlights and everybody's waiting for your next move.
Okay, so what's your name? What do you go by?
I just go by my regular name, Brandon Evers.
Okay. And where were you born?
Sacramento, California.
Okay. And how long have you lived in your current city?
I've lived in Fallon for 5 years now.
Okay. So if you had to say where you were from, where would you say you're from?
Reno, 100%.
Reno.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the name of your latest project again?
The Revelations.
And where can people find it at?
Right now, just on YouTube. I'm having a bunch of issues with DistroKid, but I'm working on it.
Okay. Have you looked into like Spotify and stuff like that? I think you said you had some music on Spotify, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you gonna try to put that one on Spotify too?
Yeah, I've uploaded it like twice now, but for some reason it won't let it happen.
Okay.
Because at first one of the songs didn't upload, and then the second time it didn't take the cover art. I don't know why.
Okay. Gotta keep trying.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. And what label are you looking into right now?
Faces of Success, but I'm not sure how that's gonna go.
Okay. And are you looking for a label to sign you, or are you just trying to go independent, or what's your plan with that?
To be honest with you, I don't really care about either.
Okay.
Like, I'm just making music that means a lot to me, and that's all I really want to do.
Cool. Hell yeah. And where can people find like you at? You have your Instagram, Twitter, Facebook?
Yeah, look up Brandon Evers Official Music on anything. Unless it's Twitter, then it's Official Evers.
Okay. And are you currently employed?
Yeah.
What do you do for work right now?
I'm a meat clerk at Safeway.
A meat clerk at Safeway?
Yeah.
How long you been doing that?
Worked there for, I want to say 7 or 8 months now.
Okay. That's pretty consistent. That's probably not what you want to do for the rest of your life, I'm assuming.
Definitely not. This is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Okay. Yeah.